Hershey Park is my favorite park that I have ever been to, and some of the reasons why that is because Hershey has a charming atmosphere, nice landscaping, great food, amazing desserts, and of course, an incredible coaster collection. A few of you have requested that I make a countdown video for the Hershey Park coasters, and today I have decided to do just that, as I will rank the top 14 roller coasters at Hershey Park. Keep in mind that I have only been to Hershey Park once, and there are still 3 coasters I haven't ridden at the park, so this list will be a bit of a prediction as well when it comes to a few coasters. With all that said, let's dive straight into the list. Coming in at number 14 is Coco Cruiser, which is one of the 3 coasters I haven't yet ridden at Hershey Park, and this is a Zamperla kiddie coaster that is mostly meant for little kids to ride, and in my opinion, this is one of the absolute worst kiddie coaster models I've ever experienced, as I have ridden Speedy Gonzales Hot Rod Racers at Six Flags Magic Mountain, which is an exact clone of Coco Cruiser, and when I rode it, I found Speedy Gonzales to be an uncomfortable and jerky ride, which is very bad for a kiddie coaster, and that experience will land Coco Cruiser dead last in my ranking. For my number 13 coaster, I have Wild Mouse, the Mack Rides Wild Mouse coaster, and I found this ride to be alright in the front. You know, it was just your typical, relatively smooth Wild Mouse coaster, but my back row or second row ride was absolutely miserable, as it got slammed to the side of the car multiple times, which left me with a pretty bad impression of the ride, which is why I have put Wild Mouse here at number 13. At number 12 is the first wooden coaster to make the list, which is Wildcat, the original GCI coaster. This ride has a solid layout and the potential to be a great ride, but the roughness really holds it back for me. I got a back row ride on Wildcat after some rain came down, and the experience was not enjoyable at all, as the roughness made for a painful ride experience. I think a front row ride may raise this coaster a lot in both the park rankings as well as my overall rankings, as I tend to prefer GCI wooden coasters in the front row, but because of my one bad experience on Wildcat, I couldn't justify putting this ride any higher on the list. At the number 11 spot, I have Trailblazer, the classic Aero Mine Train, and this coaster is perfect for families and has a beautiful setting as you travel around the trees, but for me as a coaster enthusiast, I found Trailblazer to be a bit forgettable and it felt way too short, but it at least gave a smooth ride, which I can appreciate. Cracking the top 10 is Laugh Track, which is an indoor Mauer spinning coaster, and the theming and light up props you go through and pass by during the ride definitely improves the overall ride experience, and all in all, Laugh Track was a fun ride, but definitely on the less forceful side, which also makes it a perfect family coaster, as it really isn't anything too intense for anyone, and I think kids are going to have a great time just looking at all the lights and the props. They're just going to get a kick out of Laugh Track, and for coaster enthusiasts, it is also a fun ride that I recommend doing. At number 9 is the second coaster I haven't ridden, which is Sidewinder, the Vekoma Boomerang, and I'll be honest, I've hated both of the boomerangs I have ridden, but I have heard that this one is smooth and has no headbanging, which sounds awesome, and I actually think from a layout standpoint that boomerangs can be fun, which is why Sidewinder ranks higher than some of the other rides on the list. For my number 8 coaster, I have Super Duper Looper, and to me, you can never go wrong with these classic Schwarzkopf loopers. Super Duper Looper is just a really fun ride that has a great vertical loop in a fantastic location as you go around the trees, under Great Bear multiple times, near both Comet and Skyrush, and you even go through the vertical loop. This coaster was the first one I rode at Hershey Park, and was also my first major coaster outside of California, and so for that reason, Super Duper Looper will always be a special ride for me, and I'll be happy to ride this classic coaster anytime. Roaring its way to number 7 is Great Bear, the B&M invert, and I think this invert is cool, as it begins with a pretty intense helix that then goes into a pretty good first drop, and I think all the inversions are very good, and as far as inverts go, I think this one is a bit less intense since the layout is more spread out than most of the other inverts I have ridden, but that does make it more unique, which is something I always like to see. Coming in at number 6 is by far the most underrated coaster at Hershey Park, which is the classic PTC wooden coaster Comet. And for being over 70 years old, Comet is running exceptionally well. This ride has some really good airtime moments in a great location, as Comet features multiple interactions with Skyrush and even a few with Super Duper Looper. Honestly, as crazy as it sounds, I could see Comet going up in my Hershey Park rankings, as the next coaster is one I think may fall down during my next visit. My number 5 coaster is Lightning Racer, the dueling GCI wooden coaster, and I thought this ride had both a few solid airtime moments and some great racing interactions, but I also got my rides in during the rain, which did improve the overall ride experience and may have also influenced my ranking of it too much at the time I rode it. I'm waiting to re-ride Lightning Racer to see if I need to change where I have it in my Hershey Park rankings, so don't be surprised if it falls after my next visit to Hershey Park. The 4th coaster on my list is the first Intamin to make the list, which is Fahrenheit. Fahrenheit is definitely a strange Intamin coaster, but it still is an awesome ride. As for the ride itself, it features a vertical lift hill, which I thought was pretty crazy at the time, as I had never experienced a vertical lift hill before Fahrenheit, and I'd almost consider that lift hill as an extra element. Speaking of the ride elements, they are all very fun, with my favorites being the Beyond vertical first drop, the Norwegian loop, which is a very unique element, and the ejector airtime hill near the end of the ride. This ride isn't exactly the most intense, which is why some enthusiasts don't care for this coaster, but for me, the great elements will have me coming back to ride this fun Intamin coaster. At number 3 is the last coaster on the list that I haven't ridden, which is Candemonium, the B&M hypercoaster that is supposed to come to Hershey Park later this year. Now, this hypercoaster looks like one of the best B&M hypers ever built, with its great layout, and the wave turn could be the best element on the ride if executed well. But because I haven't ridden Candemonium yet, I couldn't put it above my number 2 coaster at Hershey, because I really can't tell if I'll prefer Candemonium over it. While I don't think that Candemonium will be the best coaster in the park, I think it is another high quality addition for Hershey Park, and I cannot wait to experience it. For my runner-up, I have Storm Runner, the Intamin Accelerator Coaster, and this ride, while short, definitely packs a punch as it features an incredible launch, some great ejector airtime moments, and some awesome inversions. My favorite elements on the ride are the first launch, the top hat that provides some great airtime, the Cobra Loop that features some nice hang time, the airtime pop before the Heartline roll, and of course, the Flying Snake Dive, which is a very weird but awesome inversion. With a unique ride experience and a good amount of memorable elements, it is no wonder why Storm Runner ranks so high on my list. But coming in at number 1 is the legendary and polarizing Intamin hypercoaster, Skyrush. And if you have ridden this ride, you have to admit that it is an absolute powerhouse, whether you like it or not. Skyrush features a crazy first drop that is among the best I've ever experienced, as well as an incredibly intense first turn that is one of the most intense moments I've ever experienced on any coaster. The first 2 airtime hills also have the strongest airtime I've ever experienced, and the only other ride I have ridden that gives a similar level of airtime is Railblazer at California's Great America. The rest of the layout is also great, with the Stangle Dive, Twisted Airtime Hill, and the Airtime Hill following the Twisted Hill being the standout moments. This ride definitely isn't for everyone, as the restraints can cause a bit of pain on your thighs, but I can look past that because Skyrush is just an absolute beast of a ride, and it provides a ride experience that is absolutely relentless. I will make an updated list whenever I visit Hershey Park next, and make sure to let me know in the comments down below what your favorite coasters are at Hershey Park, or if you haven't been, which ride intrigues you the most. Also, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell if you haven't already, and make sure to follow me on Instagram at Coaster Hour if you haven't already, as I am planning on doing some live streams there in the future, and the link to my Instagram is in the description. Speaking of live streams, I do them here on the channel every Saturday at 6 p.m. Pacific, which is also 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And during those streams, I do coaster and channel trivia, I give my thoughts on the latest news and rumors, and I answer questions from my viewers. If you would like to watch a stream, then you should make sure to click the notification bell so you know when the stream is happening. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time here on Coaster Hour.